Kate Bennett burst into the hospital room, her voice cutting through the noise. "I can cure him in 2 minutes." Doctors froze. The billionaire's assistant hesitated on the phone. Someone muttered, "She's a cleaning lady." On the bed lay Harrison Caldwell, pharmaceutical tycoon, unresponsive and fading fast. But Kate noticed something no one else did, a subtle tremor in his hand. She'd seen it before, not in textbooks, but in people broken by grief. And what she did next would expose a truth no expert could explain. The 42nd floor of the Willis Tower gleamed cold under the December sun. Harrison Caldwell stood before glass, the picture of power, tailored suit, silver hair, sharp blue eyes. But his hands trembled as he adjusted his cufflinks. "Dr. Phillips, the test results," he said, trying to mask the fear in his voice. Dr. Jonathan Phillips, chief oncologist, kept his tone neutral. "No tumors, but your blood work is unusual. White cell counts are unstable. The fatigue, fever, weight loss, no known diagnosis fits." "I've seen 19 specialists," Harrison snapped, "and none of you know what's killing me? We're not sure it's terminal." "I can feel it," Harrison said. "Something's eating me from the inside." 4 floors below, Kate Bennett stepped out of the subway and into the frigid Chicago air. For 3 years, she'd cleaned Harrison's penthouse. He barely noticed her, but she noticed everything. The untouched meals, the way he leaned on counters when no one was watching, the smell of sickness, not medical, but something deeper. Her grandmother, a folk healer, would have known it, grief poisoning the soul. In the penthouse, Kate began her work. Harrison sat collapsed in his chair, folder of medical reports in hand. His control was slipping. As Kate dusted near his desk, she noticed a photo, Harrison's daughter, Annie, age 7. Her heart tightened. Now she understood the shadow in his eyes. "Kate," he said suddenly. It was the first time he'd said her name. "Yes, Mr. Caldwell." "Never mind. Just thank you." The barrier between them cracked. He was no longer just a billionaire. He was a man breaking down. Later, in a boardroom high above the city, Harrison collapsed mid-meeting. Executives panicked. Paramedics rushed in. As they carried him out, his lips barely moved. "Annie!" Down the hall, Kate was cleaning when she saw them. Through the glass, she caught his eyes, frightened, searching. And she knew this wasn't something science could fix. That night, Kate walked to the hospital. She borrowed a uniform and slipped into his room. Harrison lay hooked to machines, pale, struggling. Beside him were photos of Annie. Prescription bottles lined the table. None of it was helping. Kate placed a drop of her grandmother's lavender tincture on his pillow. "You're not dying from illness," she whispered. "You're dying from heartbreak." His eyes fluttered open. "Kate from the penthouse? I shouldn't be here." "Don't go," he said. "You see something no one else sees." "What is it?" She met his gaze. "A man who's been running from grief for so long. It's killing him. Not your body, your soul." At the door, Dr. Phillips arrived with more test results. Unaware that the real diagnosis had already been made by the one person no one expected, Dr. Phillips burst into room 302, his tablet glowing with test results, trailed by Dr. Rebecca Martinez, the hospital's chief psychiatrist. "Harrison, we need to discuss your treatment plan," he began, then stopped. The room was empty, save for rumpled sheets and a faint floral scent. "Where's my patient?" he demanded. A nurse checked her chart. "Mr. Caldwell discharged himself an hour ago, against medical advice. His driver picked him up at 6 a.m. Philip's face reddened. "He collapsed yesterday. His cardiac enzymes were elevated, his white counts fluctuating. He was determined," the nurse said he had important business. Dr. Martinez adjusted her glasses. "Classic avoidance. He's retreating to where he feels in control." "Control won't cure what's killing him," Phillips muttered, dialing Harrison's number. 42 floors above Chicago. Harrison stood in his penthouse shower, scalding water pounding his shoulders. The hospital's antiseptic smell lingered, but Kate's words clung tighter. "Your soul is what's sick." "Ridiculous," he muttered, turning the water hotter. "Folk nonsense from a cleaning lady." but his reflection in the steam mirror looked haggard, hollow-eyed. The shower only highlighted his trembling body. He dressed in a navy Tom Ford suit, Italian leather shoes, a silk tie worth a week's salary for most. If he looked powerful, maybe he'd feel it. His phone buzzed. Phillips, again. Harrison ignored it, calling Patricia instead. Schedule appointments with every specialist we haven't seen. Mayo's new immunology department. Stanford's autoimmune researcher, that German clinic in Munich for royalty. Harrison, Patricia's voice was soft. Maybe rest a day. Phillips called 3 times. Phillips had his chance. 20 doctors had their chance. I'm not giving up because a maid thinks I'm emotionally disturbed. The words came out venomous, surprising him. Why did Kate's opinion sting so much? Schedule the appointments. I want to be in Munich by Thursday, 12 floors below. Kate stood in the service elevator, her cleaning supplies rattling. She hadn't slept, replaying their hospital conversation. Harrison's eyes when she'd mentioned his grief, recognition, fear, maybe hope, before his walls slammed up. Her grandmother's voice echoed. Truth is like sunlight, Mija. Some people have lived in darkness, so long it burns. The elevator dinged at the 42nd floor. The penthouse air felt charged, like before a storm. Harrison was awake, moving. She heard drawers slamming, footsteps heavy on hardwood. Kate began her routine, but the untouched breakfast tray and silent coffee maker told her something was wrong. You're late today. Harrison's voice cut through the silence. He stood in the doorway, impeccably dressed but diminished, his suit hanging looser, dark circles under his eyes. I'm sorry, Mr. Caldwell. I can come back. No. He moved the windows, his back rigid. I wanted to address yesterday at the hospital. Kate's hand stilled on her dusting cloth. Of course. You overstepped. His tone was cold, authoritative. I appreciate your concern, but I don't need amateur psychological analysis from building staff. The words stung, but Kate had expected them. I understand, she said, resuming her work. Do you? He turned, his blue eyes sharp with anger and desperation. Your diagnosis has been disruptive. 5 doctors called this morning, worried about my mental state, as if grief counseling could cure a physical illness. Kate paused, choosing her words. Your body is ill, Mr. Caldwell, but sometimes the body gets sick because the heart is injured. My heart function is normal, 3 cardiograms. That's not the heart I meant. The statement hung like a challenge. Harrison's jaw tightened, a war raging behind his eyes. Dismissal versus truth. My daughter died 5 years ago, he said suddenly, his voice flat. Car accident. Drunk driver. I've processed the grief, Ms. Bennett. I built a pharmaceutical empire for childhood diseases, donated millions to hospitals. My heart is fine. When did you last visit her grave? The question hit like a blow. His face paled. That's inappropriate. When did you last say her name out loud? Not in boardrooms or galas, but really say Annie and remember her calling you Daddy? Stop. The word was strangled. Your body is forcing you to grieve, Mr. Caldwell. It's creating symptoms no medicine can cure, because medicine can't heal what you won't acknowledge. Harrison's hand shook visibly. You don't know what you're talking about. You're a cleaning woman with folk nonsense. You didn't go to medical school. I understand you collapse every time you get close to feeling something real, Kate said gently but firmly. You've turned this penthouse into a shrine to success because success can't die in car accidents. You're killing yourself with work and treatments because facing grief feels more dangerous than dying. Harrison stared, his breathing shallow. Then he straightened his tie with shaking fingers. I'm flying to Munich Thursday for the Hartman Institute. New autoimmune treatments. When I return, this conversation never happens again. Understood? Kate nodded, recognizing the dismissal. But as she gathered her supplies, she saw his hands tremble against his papers. His breathing labored. Mr. Caldwell, she said softly. He didn't look up. Munich won't cure you either. The words followed her out, and Harrison knew, with terrible certainty, she was right. At O'Hare's first-class lounge, Harrison sat in a leather armchair, his whiskey untouched. His flight to Munich had been delayed. Mechanical issues, then weather, now crew problems. His body felt like it was unraveling. The tremor in his hands worsened. Cold sweat clung despite the lounge's climate control. He'd taken 2 experimental pills from Stanford, but they only disconnected him further. Mr. Caldwell, a flight attendant approached. Lufthansa 441 is grounded. The Atlantic storms intensified. No transatlantic flights until tomorrow. That's unacceptable, Harrison snapped, his voice drawing glances. I have appointments at Hartman. World-renowned specialists don't reschedule for weather. We can arrange a hotel. I want to get to Munich. He caught himself, straightening his tie. Call my assistant. Charter a private jet. The attendant retreated. Each delay felt like a countdown. His phone buzzed Patricia. Tell me you found charter. Harrison, the storm's massive. Nobody's flying tonight. He closed his eyes, the lounge's noise, clinking glasses, CNN, growing chaotic. Get me on the first flight tomorrow. I don't care the cost. Already done. Lufthansa 441, 2:15 p.m. But maybe this delay's a sign. Phillips is worried about you traveling. Phillips had his chance. His voice cracked with desperation. I'm not giving up because of weather. Across the city, Kate stirred soup in her Logan Square apartment, her grandmother's recipe book open. She traced remedies for soul sickness, grief left untended. Harrison's eyes haunted her, the hope she'd seen before he rebuilt his walls. Her phone rang, Joe from Building Services. Kate, smoke alarm went off in the Caldwell penthouse. No fire, just something burning on the stove. But Caldwell was supposed to be in Germany. His car left for the airport, but someone was there. Kate grabbed her coat. I'll be right there. The 42nd floor was eerie at night, emergency lights casting shadows. The penthouse smelled of smoke and desperation. Harrison sat on the kitchen floor, his suit wrinkled, a charred pot on the stove. Mr. Caldwell, Kate said, approaching slowly. Are you all right? Flight was canceled, he said flatly. Storm. Been at airport's 12 hours. My body's shutting down. Tried to make soup, haven't cooked since. He trailed off. Since when? She asked, settling beside him. 5 years, for months, 18 days. The precision broke her heart. Annie used to help me make soup Sundays. Campbell's tomato, grilled cheese cut into triangles. She said triangles tasted better. What kind were you trying to make? He gestured at the pot. Tomatoes, onions, herbs. Thought I could remember, but I can't. I can't remember her laugh, Kate. Grief does that, she said softly. The memories hurt, so your mind locks them away. Doctors in Munich have immunotherapy. $200,000 not insured. If it doesn't work, there's Switzerland, Japan. He didn't finish. Until you die avoiding living, Kate said. Why do you care? I've barely acknowledged you for 3 years. Bennett, she said. Kate Bennett. I care because I recognize that look. I had it after my father died. I worked myself to death to avoid grief. What changed? I ran out of money for distractions. Had to live with it. Harrison looked at her. Really looked. I don't know how to live with it. I built an empire to avoid it. Maybe stop avoiding and start healing. I wouldn't know where to begin. Kate extended her hand. Let's clean this kitchen. Then tell me about Annie. Not how she died, but how she lived. Harrison took her hand, and for the first time in 5 years, he stepped toward healing. Dawn broke over Lake Michigan, painting Chicago in amber and rose. Kate woke on Harrison's leather sofa, an unthinkable arrangement days ago. She'd stayed because his condition worsened at midnight. Tremors, cold sweats, not from fever but from letting his guard down. She found him in the kitchen, coffee in hand, holding a manila folder. His silver hair was disheveled, but his eyes held clarity. I canceled Munich, he said. Call Hartman at 4 a.m., $200,000 down the drain. I feel terrified, but lighter. Does that make sense? Perfect sense. Kate gestured to the folder. What's that? Annie's medical records. I've carried them like a talisman, looking for what I missed. He slid the folder across the marble. Kate opened it. Paramedic report. Female child, approximately 7, unconscious. Multiple trauma from high-speed impact. A photo clipped to the back showed Annie at her 6th birthday, in a yellow dress, blowing out candles. She loved yellow, Harrison said. The color of happiness. Kate read hospital records. 43 hours of surgeries, experimental treatments. Visitor logs showed Harrison never left. You were there the whole time. I slept by her bed, ate vending machine food. She was unconscious, but I talked to her, sang lullabies. The final report, signed by Dr. Phillips. Annie Elizabeth Caldwell succumbed to injuries, March 23, 2019. Cause, massive trauma. Father present. A psychological evaluation recommended grief counseling. Harrison's note read, declined, will handle privately. You refuse counseling, Kate observed. I thought I could handle it with research, planning, He gestured to a bank statement. $10 million life insurance donated to Children's Hospital. Blood money. I couldn't keep it. You gave it all away, Kate said. You've been punishing yourself, saving others while ignoring your own heart. It wasn't your fault, she added firmly. A drunk driver would have hit any car. If I hadn't taken her to the museum, if I'd left earlier... Stop. You're not God, Harrison. She covered his trembling hands. You can't control accidents. His shoulders shook, tears falling. She called me Daddy before the impact. Daddy, look out. Her last words were protecting me. Kate held him as he sobbed. 5 years of grief breaking free. What did you say to her? That I loved her. She was the best thing I'd done. That it was okay to go to find her mom. That Daddy would be fine. But you weren't. I lied to a dying child, he whispered. Then spent 5 years killing myself with guilt. The humankind, Kate said. There's no shame in that. The shame is refusing to heal. Harrison's tremor stopped. His breathing steadied. I dream she asks why I never visit her grave. I wake before I answer. When did you last go? Never. I paid for everything. Funeral, headstone care, but I've never been. I'm terrified it'll make her death real. What if we went together today? Kate asked, before you book another flight. Harrison stared at the folder, then at Kate. I don't know if I'm strong enough. You are, and you won't be alone. At Graceland Cemetery. Iron Gate stood open against a gray sky. Harrison's knuckles were white in Kate's Honda. We can turn around, she offered. I've had 5 years. If I leave now, I'll never come back. They walked silently to Section 14, under an oak tree. She'd have loved this place, Harrison whispered. She wanted to be a park ranger, to make families happy. Tell me more about her. She was fearless, climbed every tree in Lincoln Park, rode her bike at 4. Stubborn, too, argued for chocolate chip pancakes like a lawyer. They reached Annie's headstone. Annie Elizabeth Caldwell, beloved daughter. March 15th, 2011 to March 23rd, 2019. She made every day brighter. Yellow daffodils lay at its base, with a stuffed elephant and the secret garden. Someone's been here, Harrison said, confused. He dropped to his knees, touching the stone. Hi, baby girl. Daddy's here. I'm sorry it took so long. Tears fell as grief found its voice. A breeze stirred the oak, acorns falling. She collected acorns, he said, smiling. Wanted to plant a squirrel forest. A plaque read, "This tree and garden maintained by the Caldwell Children's Foundation. You've been taking care of her," Kate realized. I couldn't come, but I couldn't let her be alone. He picked up the book, and an envelope fell out, addressed to him in childish handwriting. Inside, a card with stick figures, a man and a girl in yellow, read, "Thank you for the playground. Love, KDM, age 7. P.S. Annie would like that you help kids." Annie's still helping children, Kate said. "Through you. I've been so focused on failing her. I didn't see I was still her father." Harrison opened the secret garden and read aloud, his voice growing steady. When he finished, he placed a book by the headstone. "I'll read chapter 2 next week." "She knows," Kate said. "How did you know this was what I needed?" he asked. Grief shared is grief that can heal. Harrison touched the stone. I love you, Annie. Daddy's going to get better. Sunlight broke through, making the daffodils glow. They walked back in silence. Something fundamental shifted. 2 days later, Harrison emerged from his study with a manila envelope, his expression formal. "Kate, we need to talk." Her stomach clenched at his tone. "What's wrong?" He pulled out a background check with her photo. "My security team ran this. Standard procedure." Kate's blood turned cold. "Harrison, I can explain." "Explain what?" "That you were fired from 3 housekeeping jobs for boundary crossing, arrested for trespassing at Northwestern, that your real name is Catherine Marie Sullivan, changed after 6 months in jail." Each word was a blow. "The arrest, I was trying to see my dying father. They wouldn't let me in." "You made a career inserting yourself into wealthy families' crises," Harrison continued. "The Hendersons, fired for researching their medical history. The Washingtons, a restraining order after you pushed folk remedies." "That's not what happened," Kate said. "Mrs. Washington asked about my grandmother's methods. I never told them to stop chemo. You targeted grieving families, exploiting their desperation. Is that what you think I did with you?" Kate's voice broke. "Exploited your grief?" "I think you're a skilled predator who saw a billionaire breaking and seized an opportunity." The accusation shattered her. "Everything I shared was real. My grandmother's wisdom, my love for you, real." "Love," he said bitterly. "How convenient." "You don't believe that," she whispered. "Not after Annie's grave." "Have I been healing? Or manipulated?" His hands shook, his pallor returning. "Harrison, your symptoms are back because you're fighting the healing." She reached for him, but he jerked away. "Don't psychoanalyze me. Explain the pattern of exploiting grieving families." Kate stared at the report, her mistakes laid bare. "I've made errors, gotten too involved. I changed my name to escape judgment. But everything with you is real." "I'll resign tomorrow," she said, gathering her supplies. "You won't see me again." "Kate, wait." But she was gone, leaving Harrison with regret and trembling hands. Within 48 hours, he was back in the hospital, his immune system crashing. "Your white cell count dropped 60%, Dr. Phillips said. "Cortisol's through the roof. Your body's attacking itself." "What happened?" "I made a mistake," Harrison whispered. "I chose fear over love." "Phillips Saturday, the cleaning woman. Kate, what did she do for you?" "She saw through everything. Helped me grieve Annie. I had her investigated. Thought she was exploiting me, but my heart never believed it." "Why aren't you fighting for her?" "Because I'm a coward," Harrison admitted. "Brave enough for empires, not for love." Christmas Eve snow blanketed Chicago, and Harrison stood at Annie's grave, clutching yellow daffodils. He discharged himself again, driven by purpose. "Hi, baby girl," he whispered. "I need to tell you about Kate, who helped me be your father again." He tore up the background check, its pieces falling like snow. "Her love was real, Annie. I was stupid to doubt it." 2 hours later, he stood at Kate's Logan Square apartment. Snow in his hair, hospital bracelet peeking from his coat. "I need you to listen," he said. "I was wrong. I chose fear over love and threw away the best thing in my life." Kate's heart wavered. "You believed I was a predator." "I was terrified," he said, tearing up the report again. "But at your grave, I realized your love was real. I love you, Kate, for seeing my heart." He pulled out a velvet box with a yellow diamond ring. "I'm offering a life together, where your wisdom and my resources heal families. Stay. Give me a chance." Kate looked at the ring, at Harrison, at her plane ticket to Minneapolis. "One condition. We visit Annie every week and keep reading to her." Harrison's kiss tasted of second chances. A year later, the Caldwell Bennett Foundation opened, combining medicine and heart-healing wisdom. Their first patient, a grieving girl, laughed again within a week. Harrison and Kate married at Annie's grave. Yellow flowers everywhere. Love had won, proving the best medicine isn't in labs, but in hearts brave enough to trust.